Hello everybody, this is Emmeline with TVN. I'm back with another album review. This time we got a full one instead of just the one song that I did for Bruno Mars a few weeks ago. Today we're gonna be doing a little bit of a different genre of music, which is very exciting. It's one that I'm a little bit more passionate about, if you can't tell from my style. Today we're going to look over Puscifer's new album. It came out February 6th of this year, and it's called Normal Isn't. If you don't know who Puscifer is, they're a pretty new band. You should know one of the members though. This is actually Maynard James Keenan's third band that he has. The first one being Tool, obviously, and then the other one is A Perfect Circle. I'm pretty sure this was supposed to be just like a fun side project, since Tool and A Perfect Circle take a hot minute to make some music, and then it kind of took off, and they're pretty popular and successful right now. The members of the band are obviously Maynard James Keenan, Karina Round, and Matt Mitchell. Those are the three that perform on stage. Obviously there's probably way more people that help them record and make the songs, but yeah, let's go ahead and dive into it. I will say that they usually do some like electronic rock-ish vibe. They did something a little bit different with this album, where they were taking more of a gothic route, which I was very happy about, and I think they did a pretty good job. Quite like the album. As soon as it dropped, I listened to it. I'm not gonna lie. I have a record on my wall, if you can't tell. So I do listen to them pretty frequently, but for the sake of doing like the album reviews and them okaying doing Puscifer, which is pretty cool, I tried to be as unbiased as possible. And so yeah, there were 11 tracks on the album, one of them being a live performance, which I thought was pretty cool. Of the song's name is Algorithm. I guess we'll just start from the bottom and then I'll go back to the top. But Algorithm, which was one of the live tracks on the album, this isn't a super new song. It came out, I want to say, maybe a year ago. My time frame could be completely off, but they made it for the American Psycho comic. I believe that was coming out then. It's a good song. It's upbeat, in your face kind of, some punchy vocals. It was really well done. It's less electronic than some of the songs on the album, but they still find a way to put in like interesting like drum kit noises and whatnot. So yeah, to dive deeper into the album, I'll start with the first track, which is called Thrust. It is ambient and has a kind of a darker tone of sound. The thing that stood out the most to me when I was listening to it was one of the lyrics was listen to the voices, which sounds like a boring lyric or whatever. When they say listen to the voices in the background, I didn't catch it the first time that I listened to it, and then I listened to it again. I was like, oh, I don't know if they meant to do that, but that was really cool if they did. You hear hey, and I was like, oh, that was really cool. They slip things in there like that if you were just like casually listening to it, you wouldn't catch, but if you like really listen in, you can catch a lot of those fun things that they do. I like the guitar in this song. This first track is pretty heavy and angry with the lyrics. But yeah, the drums are very punchy and nice, and they stand out really well. Onto the second track is Normal Isn't, which the name of the album. This one is a little bit more electronic sounding, and something that stood out to me was around like 3 minutes into the song, they kind of mix and distort their voices in a cool way to make it like rhythmic. They take something super simple as their vocals and if you put a distortion on it and then cut it up to where you can syncopate it into like beats, it sounds really cool because it's something that our ears aren't used to like hearing. It kind of reminds me of like acapella in a way, but they're doing it in post and then putting it into a whole song. But that was something that I thought was really fun, so if you listen to this album, you'll know what I'm talking about. The third track here is called Bad Wolf. The song before and this song is a little bit like slower pace, I guess you could say, compared to some of the other songs in the album. This one in particular, they do a lot of nice like echoing with Karina's voice. She has great vocals. The guitar in this song also stands out. It has a lot of solo moments, so you can like really hear the work that Matt Mitchell is doing. He's also really great. They just do a really good job with echoes and responses. A song that does that really well is called Self-Evident, which is the track after Bad Wolf. Here we see like Thrust is pretty angry and has like angry lyrics, but the music is a little bit more toned down. Self-Evident is a little bit more in your face with those angry lyrics, and some of them, they actually released this song first as a teaser for the album, and it was very interesting. When I first listened to it, I remember being like, is that really what he's saying? And it is I'm gonna be honest, one of the lyrics is, "You're a bunghole." And I know that you're like, what? Girl, what is that? And I didn't like the song at first because of that, because I was like, I don't know if I can take this seriously. And then the more I listened to it and the more that I re-listened to the song, it grew on me. Like, it sneaks in there and it still makes me like laugh a little bit, but the more that I understood the song and how, at least in my perspective, I could be completely wrong. I'm not a professional. I don't know what the song is wholly about, but from what I take as a listener is they're talking about somebody who they very much dislike and don't agree with, and using all this, I don't want to call it childish like language, but when you use that when talking about somebody, it's almost more insulting. So that's why it kind of grew on me as I listened to the song more. Also, all of these songs have amazing musicianship, and the guitars and the drums and all of the like synths that they use, and it's all put together very well. So even if some of the lyrics are like, oh, that's kind of weird, I still really like the music. So the next song that I'm going to talk about is probably my favorite off of the album. It's called A Public Stoning. It starts off very dark, slow. Throughout the song, they play with the tempo, which I really like. It makes you like, even if this is what I was kind of getting at earlier with like, if you just listen absent-mindedly, you kind of miss things. This song does not let you listen absent-mindedly. When I first listened to this, with it starting out slow, I was like, oh, this is really cool, and I like expected it to stay like that vibe the whole time, and they punch you in the face with big drums, a tempo change, loud vocals, angry vocals and lyrics, and it just makes you stop and be like, oh. And it was really well done. They do it throughout the song, and it's so great. And another thing, Karina Round, she's so talented. She does, I think this is the right term for it, she does a lot of siren sounds, like where you like whoop and stuff. I'm not going to do it because that's not something I'm gonna want to try and edit in post and sound. So, but it's towards the end of the song. A decent amount of these songs even have a period at like the last like minute or so where it's just instrumentals, and they kind of change like the vibe a little bit, and they do this in A Public Stoning, and it's really, I like it. It's very nice. It's a really good way to transition live, at least in my opinion, because the more that time that you have to prepare for the next song without having to worry about getting enough time to go get the guitar you want to play, or if you're playing another instrument. The song after that is called The Quiet Parts, which, by the name of the song, it's way more chill than A Public Stoning, for sure. This one is very digital sounding, was the first thing that I wrote down when I was listening to it. It kind of reminded me a little bit of their older music, which is very electronic. Something that I wrote down, there is a point in the song where they just say sleeping, and that doesn't seem very special, but the way that they pick the harmonies and the chords, and as well as Karina being kind of this voice in the background, you can still hear her pretty well, but she's ever so off in time with Maynard that it sounds like an echo. I think I mentioned that earlier. They do a lot of that, and it works really well, especially since him being a guy and having a deeper voice and her having the higher pitch. The contrast is really, really nice in their songs, and it really stands out to the ear. Then after that song we have Mantastic, which this one is a little bit upbeat, going back to fast, getting us back in that not angry headspace, because this song inherently isn't very angry, but it sounds more commanding to me. I, again, with the contrast of the vocals, like I mentioned previously, here Maynard is very heavy with his voice and very loud and commanding, and Karina's are a little bit softer, and then she does lean into the rougher and darker tones that Maynard is also doing in the song. And again, with the drums, they're very punchy. The music is very loud, and I keep saying in your face, but I can't think of anything else other than that to describe it as, but not in a bad way, like in a good way. The next song is called Pendulum. This one, I quite like this song. They also teased this song after Self-Evident, I believe. This one's pretty good. I like how they do this with the music as well, but throughout the song you can kind of catch Karina's voice going from like high and low, like a pendulum swinging, and the music does that as well, going from higher pitches to lower pitches. Another thing that I liked with this song was they definitely clipped and used Karina's voice and made it repeat over itself. That's the beginning. Well, this is the second to last song on the album. It's called Impetuous. Impetuous means, this is important because it's how the song feels. The impetuous means force or energy with which a body moves. And this song is very, at least when I listen to it, it's very smooth and it flows like freely, which is how it feels just to move your body. You don't have to think about it, it just happens. But yeah, this song flows like really freely. It sounds great. Definitely more cooled down and laid back than some of the other ones on the album for sure. This one has a very electronic sound to it as well. It uses this like electronic like pinging in the background, And it's very obvious in the beginning, but it kind of slowly backs off, but it's still in the background, you can hear it. And then the last song here is called 7-1. This song might be my least favorite out of it, just because there's not a whole lot of singing, but I still like it. It's weird in a good way, at least for me. Some people will not like it at all, for the fact that it's not a lot of singing. It's mostly like narrating, I guess, is the best way for me to describe that. And I don't know who's narrating. It might be Maynard, and maybe they like pitched his voice or something, but it reminds me, this is not an insult, this is just what I thought of when I listened to it. It reminds me of the person who voices the fitness gram pacer test that we took in like, is that elementary school? That's the vibe it had, but I kind of like it. Again, with the thing I mentioned with the lyrics being a little weird or like out of the normal, but the music is really good, so it grew on me. I kind of like the little narrator guy. They do have kind of a chorus where it is Maynard. I can tell it's Maynard. I'm looking forward to when they have the lyrics up on Spotify, because when I first listened to it as the album as a whole, they didn't have the lyrics up yet, and some of the things I was like, I don't know what you're saying, but I want to know. So they might be up now and I need to look, but yeah. And I already mentioned the algorithm earlier in the video, so yeah, that's the whole album. I guess if I was gonna rate it out of, let's say, I'll rate it out of 5, I would give it like a 4.5. I really like the album as a whole. Some of it sounds a little bit repetitive with the electronic sounds in some of the songs, but they still do a good job at making each song sound independent and different from one another. At the end of the day, their musicianship and vocals and lyricism, great. They actually are on tour right now, I believe, or it's starting soon. So if you listen to this album and you love it as much as I do, go get you a ticket for the closest concert that's near you. I also want to mention, I'll probably put a few pictures up here throughout the video if I haven't already. Their looks for this album and like tour, I guess, super cool. All of Karina's dresses that she wears are awesome. The makeup that they do is really unique. There's also a music video out, I believe, for some of the songs. I know I watched one, but I can't remember what it was called. I'll put a screenshot above here because it was really cool and really well done. That is my little review. I hope I convinced you to go listen to it. I know it sounds weird, but weird is good. It's weird in a good way, I promise. Comment down below if you have any artists or recent releases that are on your radar that you want to have me cover for fun. So yeah, this was Emmeline with TVN, and I hope you guys have a good day.